Stand by. Stop!
Wait. Just a second.
Can I see the boiler, please?
Would you mind putting your bag on the table? Open it up.
A quiet restaurant owner loses his daughter in a terrorist bombing. The police promise justice, but the investigation goes nowhere. What no one realizes is that this grieving father used to be trained for war, and when the system fails him, he decides to hunt the terrorists himself. Today, we're breaking down The Foreigner, 2017. Our story begins in the bustling streets of London. Min Quan parks outside a school just as students begin pouring out through the gates. Among them is his teenage daughter, Fan. She spots her father waiting and quickly hurries over, climbing into the car with a bright smile. During the drive, she excitedly chats about an upcoming school dance, telling him about her date and the limo he has rented, while her cautious father focuses on the road. Soon, they arrive at a dress shop in Knightsbridge. Quan carefully parks the car and tells Fan to wait for him, but eager to meet her friends inside, she quickly hops out and runs toward the store. Moments later, as Quan steps out of the car to talk with another driver who has just jammed him, a devastating explosion rips through the building, shattering glass and engulfing the area in chaos and screams. Emergency responders swarm the scene as news spreads of the bombing at an OBT bank nearby. A group calling itself the Authentic IRA claims responsibility in a phoned-in statement to a major newspaper company, condemning Britain's financial support for the occupation of Northern Ireland. The media director asks the team to quickly get to work and find out everything there is to know about the Authentic IRA. Who are the members of the IRA? And is this a resurgence of old troubles or something new? Teams scramble to investigate, monitoring blogs and coordinating with MI5, while the public reels from the attack that has left 12 dead and dozens injured. Across the Irish Sea in Belfast, Deputy First Minister Liam Hennessy, a former IRA commander turned politician, navigates the fallout. He's in a hotel room with his mistress Maggie when news of the bombing interrupts their tryst. Text messages from his wife Mary alert Hennessy to the bombing. Her follow-up call is sharp. Questions about his late nights, his absences, he deflects, cuts the conversation short. Kate, a high-ranking British official, presses him for intelligence on the bombers, reminding him of the fragile peace they've maintained for 19 years. In exchange, Hennessy pushes for royal pardons for 40 IRA suspects on the run, arguing it would buy leverage with hardliners. At Quan's restaurant, the Happy Peacock, the grief-stricken Quan stands in Fan's room. He moves through the stillness like a ghost. Fan's dresses hang untouched in the closet, bright colors she'll never wear again. On the bed sits a collection of stuffed dogs she used to arrange each morning before school. He picks one up. The foam is soft, worn smooth where her hands held it every night. Her reading table with books half read and unfinished schoolwork. He is consumed by parental pain and grief. May we never experience this kind of pain. When the police arrive with evidence bags, he recognizes the charred fabric immediately. The yellow dress with small flowers. His voice cracks. Who did this? Why my daughter? The officers promise justice, but the word means nothing to a man who has buried everyone he ever loved. His wife died in childbirth, his older daughters lost during the escape from Vietnam, and now Fan. He has no more family. In Belfast, Hennessy convenes the IRA Council, including old allies like Hugh McGrath and Paddy. He demands a full audit of arms dumps after forensics link the explosives to their stockpiles and an old IRA code word. Suspecting an internal leak, he orders everything verified: guns, Semtex, the lot, to trace the culprits and handle them internally. The council reluctantly agrees, aware that younger hotheads might support the violence, but Hennessy insists on upholding the peace accord. Back in London, police trace the bomber's motorcycle, stolen the night before, and analyze CCTV footage showing the suspect evading cameras. They dump phone records from nearby towers, hunting for the detonation call. Quan, persistent, visits Bromley's office daily, offering his life savings of £20,000 for the bombers' names or any IRA contact. Bromley refuses, warning of the danger the bombers pose. He probes Quan's past, a British citizen since 1984, escaped from Saigon after the war, lost family during the escape to pirates. Quan leaves, undeterred. But asking for justice was only Quan's first step. If no one gives him the names, he'll force them out. Quan begins researching the IRA on the internet, noting down their actions and consequences. On television, Hennessy condemns the bombing in an interview, distancing it from legitimate republicanism and attributing it to opportunists amid economic woes. Watching, Quan calls Hennessy's office repeatedly until he gets through. He pleads for names, citing Hennessy's IRA ties, but Hennessy denies knowledge and hangs up. Quan, resolute, travels to Belfast. At Hennessy's office, Quan confronts him directly, being permitted entry by Hennessy after confrontation with the security guards after they discover groceries and a Swiss Army knife. He demands the bombers' identities, invoking what Hennessy would do if it were his own family. Hennessy claims no affiliation with terrorists for 30 years, emphasizing his role in peace building, and offers his condolences about his daughter. Quan warns, "You will change your mind," and leaves. Quan enters the office's toilet and makes a crude but effective device of wires and alcohol bottles with ground-up match heads for an extra kick, designed to be easily spotted but powerful enough to prove a point. Moments later, the warning bomb detonates in the toilet of Hennessy's office building, and at this moment, Hennessy realizes something terrifying. The quiet restaurant owner hunting him is far more dangerous than he expected. In the aftermath of the explosion, an inspector asks Hennessy about potential suspects, but the politician brushes it off as a mere warning, not a lethal attempt. As emergency services handle the gas leak cover story, Hennessy's phone rings. It's Quan, calmly admitting to planting the bomb and pressing again for the bombers' names. Hennessy erupts in fury, vowing retribution, but Quan hangs up undaunted, ordering his men to scour all hotels and guest houses for the Chinese man. Hennessy gathers his inner circle to analyze the device. Crude wires, a light bulb coated with match heads for extra ignition, effective yet deliberately visible, a clear message rather than a kill shot. Quan wants them to see it. At a Belfast guest house, Hennessy's henchmen, led by Jim Kavanagh, burst in to seize Quan, but the unassuming restaurateur transforms into a whirlwind of precision strikes, disarming and pummeling the four assailants with improvised weapons and acrobatic evasion. He leaps from the roof, sliding down drain pipes like a shadow, escaping into the street as the men nurse their wounds and egos. At Hennessy's office, he's seen berating his team for being outmaneuvered by one old man. Cut to Quan quietly tracing and following Hennessy to an executive restaurant. Quan waits near the entrance after Hennessy enters, staying just far enough away not to draw attention. Through the glass walls, he watches Hennessy sitting with a woman, Maggie, his mistress. As soon as the waitress finishes serving their table and walks away, Maggie, who is sitting near Hennessy, leans in and the two of them kiss. Unknown to them both, Quan has captured their kiss with a camera. Not long after, the woman leaves the restaurant. Hennessy reaches for his phone as it buzzes. He looks down and freezes. On the screen is the photo of the kiss. Beneath it, a message appears. "I want the names." Seeking reinforcements, Hennessy summons his nephew, Sean Morrison, a decorated Royal Irish Regiment Ranger fresh from New York. Over drinks at the farmhouse, Hennessy briefs him on the escalating crisis. The London bombing has dried up American fundraising, and he needs Sean to lay eyes secretly with Commander Bromley in London. Sean's military credentials will earn respect, but discretion is paramount. Collaborating with the Brits against their own could shatter the fragile alliance. In London, Sean meets Bromley secretly at the Royal Naval College, asserting the authentic IRA is a rogue faction using stolen semtex and a leaked code word. He outlines Hennessy's plan: distribute unique code words to each council member, wait for the next bombing claim, and trace the leak. Bromley agrees, on one condition: when the bombers are identified, British forces handle the takedown, not the IRA. Sean relays the terms. Hennessy consents, distributing the codes and biding time. Quan tracks Hennessy to his farmhouse in the countryside, moving like the trained soldier he once was, concealing his movements and any trace of his his arrival. He approaches under cover of darkness. He slips into the farm buildings undetected, silent, methodical. Inside, he plants explosives at strategic points. When some of the guards spot him, he subdues them quickly and efficiently, binding their hands and feet behind them as they lie face down on the floor. He leaves them alive. Once clear of the property, he detonates the bombs remotely. The explosion tears through the building. Windows shatter, walls collapse, debris rains down, but no one is killed. No one is even injured, but the explosion sends the guards scrambling. It's a message, not a massacre. Hennessy now knows exactly what Quan is capable of. At the farmhouse, tension mounts as Mary, Hennessy's wife, argues with him about the escalating threats. Fearing for her safety, she is going to London until Hennessy completely deals with the situation. In the surrounding woods, Quan sets brutal traps, spiked pits and snares that maim pursuers, his movements silent and calculated, drawing on long-buried guerrilla tactics from his Vietnam days. Wounded but relentless, Quan evades capture, leaving Hennessy to underestimate him no longer. Back at the farmhouse, Hennessy confers with Kavanaugh, one old man outsmarting dozens, always a step ahead. They need a tracker, Sean. In London, Sean enjoys a flirtatious evening with Mary. While at it, Hennessy calls him to come back as Quan is proving evasive. Maggie, in a dimly lit pub, chats up a journalist, her demeanor shifting from casual to calculated as she probes for vulnerabilities. Hennessy accuses McGrath of hiding the shortages, his voice laced with betrayal, as the old allies circle each other in a tense standoff. McGrath retorts at fear, not trust, binds them now, pushing Hennessy to reclaim his ruthless past and lead with force. Revealing his intimate knowledge of Hennessy's woes, the bombings at the office, farm, and car, even Mary's hideout in London, McGrath urges a return to Belfast to seize control. But the conversation spirals when McGrath admits encouraging the authentic IRA's escalation for momentum against the British, confessing he authorized the bombings to exceed mere financial hits, embracing civilian casualties as necessary fog of war. Hennessy erupts, reminding him of their agreement for no bloodshed, but McGrath counters that Hennessy's political desperation birthed this violence, invoking past atrocities like M62 and Mountbatten to question his fated fire. The accusation stings. McGrath brands him a profiteer, cozying with the enemy, far from the butcher of the Bogside who once fought unyieldingly for a united Ireland. Hennessy warns he'll bury them all if the bombings don't stop, but McGrath departs smugly, asking him to bury the Semtex issue quietly. Cut to Hennessy's room as he prepares to walk out with his dog, which is lying down. Quan emerges from the shadows, having tranquilized the animal. Strapping a bomb vest to himself, Quan forces Hennessy to sit while holding a gun, demanding the names once more. Hennessy pleads ignorance, but Quan, drawing parallels to his own guerrilla past in Vietnam, sees through the lies. Their shared scars of war hang heavy, both men haunted by violence they've tried to escape, but Quan rejects any kinship, pressing until Hennessy reveals his code word trap, buying one day before Quan detonates. In London, forensics sharpened CCTV images, spotting a burn mark on the Knightsbridge bomber's hand. At the farm, Sean arrives to hunt Quan, learning of another attack. A London bus bombed, 16 dead, no code word given. Bromley accuses Hennessy of betrayal, suspecting a leak from him or Sean. Desperate, Hennessy faces Downing Street pressure for the bombers in exchange for pardons, with paratroopers poised to reignite Belfast if he fails. Hennessy probes his men about Mary's London location, learning only Murphy knows. His nephew, Sean, was seen entering Mary's hotel room in London and spends more than 2 hours inside, igniting Hennessy's fury. In the bomber's hideout, Maggie, revealed as Sarah Mai, finalizes a laptop bomb for a flight to Rome, carrying top officials, timed via internal clock, with journalist Ian Wood as unwitting mule. The burn mark IDs Patrick O'Reilly, linked to McGrath via surveillance in a Dublin IRA pub alongside Maggie in a restaurant. Bromley gives Hennessy 30 minutes before a 12-man tactical team raids the farm, forcing a brutal interrogation. Hennessy tortures McGrath, extracting confessions. The bus was an unsanctioned escalation. McGrath gloats over the collusion with Hennessy's wife, born of her grief for her dead brother, Patrick, but Hennessy shoots him point blank, erasing the threat. Hennessy texts Bromley the names. He also shares it via text with Sean as he tasks him to handle the loose ends. Sean begins to track Quan in the woods. Quan ambushes him, and after a confrontation, he overpowers him, but he spares him for his soldier's honor and extracts the bomber's details. O'Reilly, the killer, marked with the burn, from his phone. Quan travels back to London, to the safe house on Wapping High Street. After days of hunting, Quan finally has the names. Now, there's only one thing left to do. Posing as a gas inspector investigating a leak, he gains entry to the bomber's flat. As they try to check his tool bag, a fight erupts. Gunning, kicking, and hiding. Quan fights his way through. Quan neutralizes the bombers in a blaze blaze of calculated and efficient fury, sparing Maggie. He allows the arriving British authorities to capture her alive. Under a ruthless interrogation, she reveals the final phase of their plan. A laptop bomb has been planted on Flight 136 to Rome, set to target a security conference being attended by high-ranking MPs. The mule for the bomb is an unwitting journalist named Ian Wood. As Flight MC-136 gets delayed because of the bomb, chaos erupts when security men rush in to neutralize the laptop device in time. They came in shouting, "Ian Wood. Who is Ian Wood?" And the man, unaware of the danger in his laptop, identifies himself. The police officer grabs the laptop and races through the crowd, racing to the back before launching it into an open clearing just few seconds before it was set to detonate, preventing an international tragedy. Before Quan returns home, he tracks Hennessy down to his exclusive hideout. He confronts him on intentionally being a part of the bombings, as Maggie, who Quan saw him with, was also a bomber. Quan forces Hennessy to send the earlier image of the kissing to the internet, ensuring that the whole world knows he is a terrorist in both his personal and political dealings. Quan then returns to his restaurant, the Happy Peacock. Although a police team is ready to arrest him, Bromley intervenes and tells them to hold back, stating that they owe this man something, acknowledging the fact that it was actually Quan that helped neutralize the bombers and for the information that saved the plane. Quan is left in peace to resume his quiet life, a vigilante who has finally found a measure of retribution for his daughter. But beyond the action and revenge, this story leaves us with some powerful lessons about grief, justice, and human resolve. Here are 3 powerful life lessons from The Foreigner 2017, starring Jackie Chan. Lesson 1. Never underestimate the quiet ones. Quan appeared to the world as a humble restaurant owner, but beneath that silence was decades of pain, skill, and unbreakable resolve. The moment people wrote him off as a grieving old man is the moment they lost. Lesson 2. Grief, when given direction, becomes the most unstoppable force in the world. Quan didn't just mourn his daughter. He channeled that loss into a singular, focused mission. He didn't have power or connections, only purpose, and that turned out to be more than enough. Lesson 3. True justice sometimes lives outside the system. The police offered sympathy. The politicians offered excuses. It was one broken father, armed with nothing but will and old scars, who dismantled a terrorist network and saved a plane full of lives. Sometimes the system needs someone the system can't control. These lessons show why The Foreigner hits so hard. It's not just an action film. It's a story about what a father's love looks like when the world refuses to answer for his loss. Drop your favorite takeaway in the comments and tell us, would you have done the same thing Quan did?